Hey, it's Pat here with another talking point. Today we're going to talk about the Disney Parks exclusive Star Wars Mandalorian themed Droid Factory 4-pack. Okay, recently Disney released these, and Philip was nice enough to pick me up a set while he was in the park, and I just thought that it would be fun to take a look at these figures because as I opened them, I was really impressed with what they've done with some of these. So let's just go ahead and open this up and take a look at each figure a little bit closer. Okay, so to talk about these, we are going to be including some spoilers for The Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2. If you haven't seen those yet, I'm sorry, but maybe you should go watch those instead of watching this. I'll do these maybe in the order that they appear, aside from the first one. I kind of want to skip ahead to Season 2, the first episode, where we get the first appearance of the droid N0AH. And I really like the way that they've done this droid because I actually didn't notice in the episode whenever I was watching it, because he appears so briefly, that this is actually a brand new dome for an R unit astromech droid. The thing that I think is really cool about the detail of this figure is that they thought to include the restraining bolt on this droid, which makes a lot of sense because the scene in which this droid appears is in the scene where Cobb Vanth is with the Jawas on the Sandcrawler, and instead he ends up with Boba Fett's armor, but first he's offered N0AH in exchange and declines. And once again, as you saw in the episode where Philip actually covered a set, the Disney Parks exclusives are using Build-A-Droid parts, so you can pop these apart and change the pieces out as you like. And that's true of all the figures in this set. There are two mystery inserts on the inside of this dome that seem to have filled the sculpt from the outside. And at first I suspected that they may be for some sensors to be attached later. And indeed that does seem to be the case, because there is a droid called SK620, who is the Galactic Star Cruiser exclusive at Disney Parks, that appears to have the same dome with additional details. Okay, moving on, we have another astromech droid that actually appears earlier in Season 1 of The Mandalorian. And I thought this one was cool because it also had a brand new dome. And it can be seen in the episode where Mando is trying to escape the town in Navarro, and he hops into a cart, and this droid was actually piloting that cart, and he tells it to move, and it drives a while he's under fire. Okay, the third one that I want to look at, the package simply refers to as R1. Now, I don't really understand what the name of this droid is. I think that that's honestly, I'm going to call that a placeholder, because I don't think that, canonically speaking, they've actually said what the name of this droid is just yet. Wikipedia actually lists it as Unidentified New Republic Security Droid Model. This is the droid that appears in the episode where there's a prison break on a prison ship, and these are some of the droids that are guarding that ship. But the reason why they seem to be a little bit unidentified so far, because they're definitely based on that R1 unit that we saw in Star Wars Episode 4 in the original movie whenever the Jawas were selling 3PO and R2-D2. Sorry if there's spoilers there. If there's spoilers there, you really shouldn't be watching this video. And then it also appeared in Watto's shop in Star Wars Episode 1, but that one was a little bit different. So there's actually some kind of precedent for R1 droids being shown that are wildly different, and the ones in Mandalorian are, I guess in that sense, much the same. It does have a really nice tampograph on it of the New Republic logo. It does come with a base. I would have liked the base to have been made of clear plastic just to kind of give it that hovering effect. It's a nice one, and yes, it is made of Build-A-Droid parts. Philip actually reviewed a set earlier that included an R1 droid as well, and that was this set. It was a 5-pack from the Droid Depot that included R1J1. And R1J1 is a droid that actually appears in the park at Disney that you can actually kind of see there. And the thing that both Philip and I were really impressed with this new one is that since it's not actually based entirely on the original droid that appeared in Episode 4, and it's based on the one that's in Mandalorian, which is a little bit different, this is actually entirely new tooling. This is a brand new mold. They did not cheap out at all. It's very impressive. Let's actually take a second, and I'm going to pop this out of here so we can do a quick comparison of the two. Okay, here's the earlier R1J1 from the parks. He really resembles that R1 droid that is in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And this one, again, is really cool. It has the treads on the bottom of it. And this new R1, which again I think is more of a placeholder name, is entirely new. It does not have the same head, I guess I should call it. And a lot of the other details are just entirely different. There's actually nothing that is the same. You can kind of tell that they're vaguely similar as far as details go here and details go here. Round thing goes there, half cylinder goes there. But other than that, they really don't share any other similarities other than the fact that they both are born of that original R1 design for the movies. Now, both of these are also Build-A-Droids, so yes, let's take the new one apart. Of course, that's more of a base. That doesn't really count as a Build-A-Droid part so much as it is a hovering design. And the head of this does pop off. They're on here kind of tight. I don't want to break off those antennae as I pop it off. But you can take them off. And there, this one is painted underneath. It looks very nice. That is very similar to, but not exactly the same as the one on the R2 units. But if you really wanted to, yes, you can pop that onto an astromech droid body, because that's the fun of the Build-A-Droids. The bottom of this also pops off, and it has a peg there, and that right there. So he just breaks into 3 parts, plus that hovering piece, the hovering base. And then this one, the original one, actually the head pops off. Oh, that's interesting. Comparing the sculpts of these, those actually look quite the same. Which honestly, for the sake of consistency, considering that in universe it's probably meant to be some kind of modified version of the same droid, it's really cool that they do share a lot of the same details or places for details where maybe pieces would be upgraded or changed between the years that pass between Episode 4 and the occurrences of The Mandalorian. And the bases are much the same. Wow, this is really cool. Because underneath the base, like the part that you don't see from the outside when you pop them off, it kind of has this identical geared look to it on both droids. And the new one, which is this, you should be able to then fit on the old base. So that was Unidentified New Republic Security Droid Model, or as the package says, R1. And last but not least, certainly not least, because I have taken a look at this before, is MA-13. MA-13 is the heavily modified, looks like it was built out of scrap, droid from the last episode of Season 1 that was in charge of the ferry that took the heroes down the lava river. And it actually includes, I'm so impressed that it includes this, because it includes the pole for guiding the ferry. There's just so much detail in this droid. The fact that it includes its one accessory that it ever had. This is the kind of thing that I would think, well, maybe that belongs to the boat itself and doesn't actually belong to the droid, so maybe they don't need to include that. But they went the extra mile and included it, and, you know, kudos to them for doing that. Now, the droid itself, I'm going to kind of get lost in it here because I am completely impressed. This is made of Build-A-Droid parts once again, and the parts that look familiar to you should, because they actually are the standard part. They actually built this droid off of the existing Build-A-Droid pieces. and it's just a lot of fun. It has a lot of articulation. It's articulated there in the shoulders. The elbows rotate. The elbows, and I guess I should say the elbows of the upper arms. That's what I'm talking about now. The elbows move. This is a little more than what I expected from a figure now, because a lot of articulation is being pulled out of figures. This is way more than I expected already. I just kind of expected one solid piece with a few limbs and that's it, and he'll look good on a shelf. No, because as you go further down, the elbows are articulated, or I should say the wrist is articulated, and then you actually have up and down wrist articulation. I'm completely impressed with that. They really, like, this is already going beyond. I love this, but I didn't need this in order to think that this is a good action figure. This is beyond what I was expecting. This is really cool. And that's all just the articulation in the upper arms. The lower arms, a little more tricky because they are smaller. The joints are a little bit tinier. But they're there. They could have left the joints out to make these not quite fall apart as easily, but the fact that they put them in, I am not going to complain. It is really cool. That joint actually is very sturdy, but it's this joint sometimes that gives me a little bit of a problem because it doesn't bend real far, and sometimes they pop off. But you end up with the same thing where you have that wrist rotation, and again, even the wrists move on the secondary arms. Moving down to the legs, of course we have our hips that are jointed. There's no rotation at what I would call the waist, but that's a-okay with me. I don't really need that because the reason for that is that this actually plugs in where that center wheel on an astromech droid plugs in. And then of course the knees also bend. The knees can turn this direction for some sideways motion, and they kind of ratchet into place there. Then you actually end up with a little bit of an ankle. And he does pop apart. And the arms, the way that they pop off, if you pull them off, you can actually see that that's just a standard Build-A-Droid. So then we can take what is left of this droid, of this MA-13, and kind of return the remaining parts to what they may have looked like whenever it was a brand new astromech droid. And then if you want, you can add some limbs to this from previously existing sets and maybe pieces that you found in the Disney park or even from the earlier Hasbro Build-A-Droid parts and finish it out. Philip actually was nice enough to do that for me, so I'm going to insert a picture of what he built right here. I'm really thankful to Philip for grabbing me a set, but while he was in the park, he actually did us another favor of covering what is the Droid Factory Mystery Crate Series 1 figures. He bought a couple of those in the park. Now there are 6 droids in the Droid Factory Mystery Crate Series 1, and all of them are based on droids that you can actually find at Galaxy's Edge in the Droid Factory, and Philip has taken pictures of those. The first one is B5SL. That is the droid off there to the left behind the cage. And I found it interesting that Philip pointed out to me that these two models of droids seem to be based on the idea of taking BB-8 and R2-D2 and taking those designs and swapping their colors. Additional droids that are in this set that you may get if you were to open them are JB9, CH83, G4S8, S3R9, and C14B. And now to Philip in the park.
Hey everyone, I am right outside the gates of Galaxy's Edge, and I just purchased this Droid Factory Mystery Crate. It's got a single droid action figure in it, and I want to see what it looks like. We're going to open it up on camera. Poly bag inside the box, so you still can't, make out what it's going to be until you actually get it. And this is apparently S3R9. It's a standard Droid Factory build, but they also have like C10 droids and BB units, so this one is actually relatively tame for what I could have gotten. Fun though. They're $15 a piece, so not exactly cheap, but that is about the going rate for a droid around here. You are paying extra for the crate though. And the base of the crate can fit on top, and there's grooves on there to hold your new droid. Astromech R-type or B-type. Like so.
This is a really cool set of 6 droids if you can find all of them. I do hope in the future that the gigantic pile of parts comes back to the park so that whenever I eventually get to go back there, I can dig in and build my own things. But so that covers this new 4-pack. Philip and I just both really loved this set a lot and thought that others may want to see it a little more close up and in detail. And let us know what you think in the comments, and like and subscribe. Thanks again.
Thanks for watching this episode of Articulated Points. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'd appreciate it if you would like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to learn more about some of the toys featured in this episode or want to follow us on social media, links are in the description below this video.